Hey all, this is Software Focus, and today we're going back to basics with Snagit. You don't want to miss this. Today's episode will be focused on the selection tool available during editing. To begin with, we'll select the selection tool by going to it up in the menu. When you click on it, it'll turn blue, indicating that it's selected. And the tool properties pane on the right will change to have 4 basic kinds of selection. So we have rectangular selections, ellipse or circular selections, polygon selections, and a freehand selection. We also have a snap to object option and a background fill option. For demonstration purposes, I'm going to bring up a test image so we have something more detailed to work with. Alright, so we have our image here. To begin with, I'm just going to use the rectangular selection, so I click on it to ensure that it's already selected. It is highlighted, indicating that it's selected. And if I move my cursor back onto the working canvas, you'll see my cursor is turned into like a crosshair. And so I can just simply place it over whatever I'm going to select, click and drag to make the selection, and then I get this dotted outlined box with manipulation squares indicating that that area of the image has been selected. I can resize the selected area, but I can't really move the selection outline as a whole because it has selected what's in there. So if I was to just click in here and drag, now I have this whole separate panel that I'm moving, and it becomes its own separate piece that you can resize and rotate as desired. Now you did notice that it left this checkerboard pattern indicating transparency. If we were to save this image out as it sits to a PNG file, this would appear as an open black space. If we saved it as a JPEG or another file, this would just be white. And this particular setting is controlled by the background fill switch, and by default it's set to transparent. And I'll show you what happens if it's set to autofill. So we'll change to ellipse selection, select autofill, and I'm going to grab this. Now this is probably going to be pretty funky in how it does the auto selection. So I have it selected, and I'm actually just going to delete. And so it deleted the section I had selected, and it tried to autofill that with the surrounding colors. And as you see, it kind of smeared it. Looks a little odd. There is a autofill option to adjust how this behaves. So by default it's set to optimize for speed, but you can set it to photo quality, which is currently experimental, and it adjusts how this smearing works. So if I undo my changes so it's back and I set it to photo quality, we'll see what difference we get. So it changed a little bit on how it autofilled. This works much better in situations where you have one solid color around the section you're removing. So, you know, although it's not very interesting, if I select this corner, this white section here, and delete it, although what I selected was deleted, you really can't tell because it's white. I think if we try and select like this text here, or at least select around the text, gotta get this tight though, and then delete it. It caught a little bit from the thumbnail, but you kind of see what I'm meaning here. To to demonstrate the polygon tool. Basically you draw your own shape, but it's in a shape. So you draw one segment, then another, then another, then another, and you just keep going, and when you're ready to finish, you end up back at the beginning, and it indicates that that's selected. There is also this snap to object tool, or this snap to object option, and with it turned on, you have an option to basically fine-tune how well it selects. And so if I try and do this, thinking that it will select the thumbnail, and let go, you see it automatically tried snapping, and it tried to grab what it could. We can adjust how effective the selection is, how picky it is. 100% pretty much is what you choose, and that would actually probably be the best by pulling it back to just get the thumbnail. Finally, you have the freehand selection, and basically it allows you to freehand draw a selection. And again, with the snap to object enabled, this allows you to, you know, just crudely draw, and then it will try and auto grab what you select. There are a few right click options with the selection tool. So with nothing selected, if I right click, I get the option to select all or select all objects. So if I choose select all, it just grabs everything on the image canvas. If I deselect and right click again and choose all objects, it grabs this, which of course I made earlier. It did also grab the mouse cursor, which is a setting as a carryover from a capture setting. I had capture cursor enabled, and that allowed the cursor to be a secondary object that's capturable. This is useful for like if you want to easily delete the cursor from your capture after you've made it. If I deselect again, if I have stuff selected and I want to just deselect everything, I can click off, or I can right click and there's a deselect all option. If I select one of the pieces that I've already made, I can right click on that, and there's a arrange option under the right click menu. That gives me options to edit image, adjust the position, whether it be fully forward or behind a couple layers or all the way back. There's an ability to align. Looks like in this case it doesn't, all the options are grayed out. I'm also able to flip it horizontally or vertically. I can click on one image, and when pressing and holding the shift key, I can then click on another piece, which allows me to grab multiple pieces, right click, and there's a group function which will group the two pieces together and allow me to move them as one piece. And another kind of cool thing is, as I mentioned in the fill video, or at least I believe I've mentioned in the fill video, if you select an area and have it selected and go to the fill tool, you can then fill that selection with a color. And that about does it for the selection tool. This has been Software Focus. If you like this video, hit that like button or click subscribe to join the channel for future videos. If you have any feedback or ideas for future videos, please leave a comment down below. Keep focusing.